Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 989, where we talk about how shitty Chicago sports teams are. What is happening? Good Thursday morning. Being a Chicago fan, I should be putting spike in my coffee in the morning. Unfortunately, we're going to touch on the Cubs game last night. We're going to talk about the eBay Open, which began yesterday. I think it continues today. I hope so, because I was left disappointed in yesterday's sessions of the eBay Open. So hopefully it continues today. I think it does. I think it's a 2-day event. Maybe it's a 3-day event. I don't know, but I was disappointed. So we're going to talk about it. If you were there, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I tweeted out last night a little mini thread and thought I would get some feedback. Didn't get much feedback on people that attended. I do know there were some viewers that I know, Hobby Evolution, that were at least in the sports trading card session. That was obviously, because that's where I deal, was left the most disappointed with in that session yesterday. So we're going to talk about the eBay Open. Serenity now. How about that Cubs game last night? The thing is, my prediction in being a realist, I said the Cubs are going to go 6-6 in the final stretch of the last 12 games of the season. That's who they are. Do we want, as Cubs fans, them to win every game? Of course, absolutely. But is that realistic? No, not at all. Absolutely not. So, had the feeling going to split the last 12 games of the season. Right now, we're right at 500, 4-4 in 8 of the 12 games, 4 remaining. 1 against the Braves, 3 games set in Milwaukee against the Brew Crew. Cubs 4-4. Last night, they take a 3-0 lead. Remember, they had a 6-0 lead and lost in Atlanta the other night. Last night, they have a 3-0 lead, which I knew was not comfortable. Jameson Taillon was pitching a great game. And then the bullpen happened. Now, when you have a bad bullpen and the best offense in baseball, you don't get results that you want if you're a Cubs fan. Through 157 Major League Baseball games going into last night, the Atlanta Braves were averaging 5.84 runs per game. 5.84 runs per game. Through 157, that's a whole season sample size, minus 5 games. It's a lot of damn runs. Leads the league, 917 before last night. And another what? Would they score last night? What was the final score? 5-4, 4-3. I can't remember. But anyway, so they had 1 run, 2 runs, and then they tied the game, and then the Cubs scored. So I think it was 5-4 because the Cubs scored in extras, took a 4-3 lead, and this is what I mainly want to talk, because I'm not up. I mean, am I upset? Yes, I am upset. But did I expect it? Also, yes. But what I do want to talk about from last night's game, Ronald Acuna steals his 70th base. 40-70. It's the first time it's ever happened. 40-70. We thought stolen bases were dead. Well, and then they made the bases bigger. Stolen base. Small ball is back, baby. I love me some. I'm not going to finish that sentence. Not going to finish that sentence. I love me some stolen bases. Love me some stolen bases. Ronald Acuna steals second base in the 10th inning. The game is stopped. Ronald Acuna pulls the bag victoriously, holds it over his head. The fans go wild in Atlanta. I'm a Cubs fan. Should I like that? Yes, it was freaking awesome. We just saw history, 40-70. I saw some Cubs people on Twitter, you shouldn't do that. Fuck that. I want to see that. Celebrate. I think we should do more celebrating. I thought it was cool. They did stop the game. They paused it to show a video montage. Acuna takes the base. I was watching the Braves. By the way, I texted my buddy Herman. I was watching the Braves broadcast. And like, this is enjoyable. Like, I was really enjoying. I don't know who the play-by-play guy is. He was good. Tom Glavine was in the booth, and Jeff Francoeur. So it was a 3-man booth, which worked. Normally, I don't like when there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Normally, I don't like that. But it worked in Atlanta. It worked on the Braves broadcast. And here's kind of one of the when I know I like a broadcast is when I can't tell who's talking. And it's like, is Tom Glavine ever going to talk? I'm like, oh, wait, that's Tom Glavine talking. So I enjoyed the Braves broadcast. However, on the Cubs broadcast, they were not happy. Boog Sciambi, who I don't like as at least as the Cubs play-by-play guy. Boog Sciambi was not happy that Atlanta would stop the game and throw a video montage on the board. Jim Deshaies agreed with him. Like, now you're being salty. And I can't defend that. There's some times that I feel that if you want to get salty at, the umpires that are missing call, like, I get it. But it just seems salty to poop on a celebration like that. It's not like he did a feat it's not like a no-hitter. Like, in a no-hitter would be the end of the game, so it would be a moot point anyway. But like a 40th home run or something like that just happens. But a 40-70, it's never happened in baseball before. I don't care if they stop. I thought it was great. I enjoyed the celebration. I'm cool with it. It's really warm down here. You can tell I'm sweating. Is this? Yeah. Took an extra hot shower this morning. So I thought it was cool. I didn't think the final result was cool, but hey, try to win one today. My prediction was they'll win one game each against the Braves and Brewers. Hopefully that's today. But we'll see. So what's going on in the chat? We've got Uncle Rich in the house. Good morning, Uncle Rich. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Boston Smoke is here. Good morning. David, what's happening? Uncle Rich says, do you want to lead off with the Cubs or the Bears? We're just going to ignore the football team. We'll just ignore the football team. Is that my pen? You know what my problem is this week? I've got piles of baseball cards, football cards, hell, even hockey and soccer cards in like every room. Even my rec room is starting to get messy. That's what happens when you get behind. And then you buy a bunch of shit, like cards last week at the card show, and then a Goodwill pallet. So what I do last night, like, I'm going to watch the Cubs game. I'm going to go out in the rec room, watch it on the big TV, and go through my Goodwill pallet. I only went through one box. My car is still filled. They're still working on our garage, so I don't have real easy access to unload. First world problems. So now I'm left with piles all over in like every freaking room down here. Steve, what's happening? Good morning. To talk about the Cubs or not talk about the Cubs? Oh, I know. Low roller scratcher, he's tardy. Low roller scratcher, he's tardy. Kyle, good morning. Sounding like if the Cubs miss the playoffs, then Chicago fans can root for the Bears to win the number 1 draft. I'm already on that bandwagon. Like, yep, might as well. I still do think the Cubs will sneak into the playoffs. I think they'll sneak in as the third wild card. Right now, I think, did the Marlins take? I think the Marlins came back and won. Is that right? So I still do think there's 4 games left. Standings, wild card. There's 4 games left. But I think the Marlins play like the Pirates. But again, you know what? Matchups don't matter in baseball. I am would I rather play the Pirates than the Brewers or Braves? Absolutely. But we've seen what happened. Look at last week. The Pirates won 2 out of 3 against the Cubs. The Rockies swept the Cubs just a couple weeks ago. Baseball is a funny game. Marlins and Cubs tied currently for the third wild card spot. Now, and I think the Marlins might hold that tiebreaker. I think the Marlins hold the tiebreaker. So the Cubs have to be one up on the Marlins in the standings to get that spot. Victor, what's up? Good morning. The Cubs are struggling at the wrong time. Yes, they are. Just like 1969. I was long not born yet. Rich says, for years afterwards, 69 Cubs cards were incredibly popular. The 69 Cubs are still incredibly popular among Cubs collectors. There's still a lot of like autograph collectors still seek 69. Of course, it's getting more and more difficult as members from that squad pass away. But 69 Cubs are still really popular among Cubs collectors. Donald Davis, good morning. He says the Bears, the bums. They're bums. Dan, what's up? He's in the airport heading to the Philippines. Good evening, George. What's up? Harlan's in the house. Good morning. Philly Joe, what's up? Very disappointed with the card session at the eBay Open. My sentiment exactly. I'm going to share my thoughts on the eBay Open. Grinding for good. What's up? Happy Thursday. Low Roller says, you're always late in your live stream. I expect you to be on time all the time. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Give me a tardy. Send me to detention. Dan says, heard the Cubs announcers didn't think that record deserved the ovation and time taken to do so. Yeah, which is a shit take, in my opinion. I like Jim Deshaies. Boog, not a fan. Not a fan of Boog Sciambi. Leave him to the national broadcast. I'm not a big fan of him in the booth. And he seems, I don't know, he seems very defensive and argumentative during the broadcasts, especially when Joe Girardi is in the booth. It's almost like a tense relationship they have. Like anything Joe says, Boog disagrees with, and vice versa. But it's not like a playful banter. It's like a awkward, let's talk baseball. Not a fan. Ed, what's up? Good morning. Happy Thursday. Uncle Rich says, find those Acuna cards in Chrome for the MVP promotion this year and cash in at your LCS. There you go. I did not get any Acuna or Ohtani in my 2023 Topps Chrome. I only bought, 2 blasters, I think. And I forgot when I was at the Midwest Premiere last weekend, I forgot to even look for singles of 2023 Topps Chrome. And while Seager is making a late run, it will be Shohei in the American League. Carlo does vintage. What's up? And Rich is out. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon. What the hell was that saying? Anyway, see you, Rich. Tom Coleman, what's up? East Coast Tom in the house. Ricardo is here. Good morning. It's been a while since I made your stream. Awesome setup. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, this is the new setup. Plus little boxes of cards on the counter that I need to get sorted. Stacus Maximus. Inspired by Bo, went and got an ADF scanner and new software. Did a lot of work last few months. Launched 23K of 31K new listings yesterday. Going to launch rest during today's show. Tax collectibles. Very cool. So my question, did you like put 23K live at the same time, I would be very concerned if I were you, if that were the case. If that were the case. Andy Mack, what's up? Good morning. Low Roller wants me to list more hockey and soccer. They go straight to the quarter box. So you can come see my quarter boxes this Saturday at the Madison Card Show. Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive, 9 to 3, free admission. Sold out, actually oversold. I took out my two spots, and I'm going to bring my own tables, and there's a spot I can put them. So actually oversold for the Madison Card Show. George wants to know, how's that Goodwill going? Not very well, because I haven't unloaded much. I unloaded, there was a bag which actually had a whole bunch of football. So I'll have a lot of color and modern football in my quarter boxes. Let's see. So I got that. Last night I went through some boxes, more football and some basketball, and pulled out some. So I pulled players for one of my customers. He buys Mahomes, LeBron, Trout, Acuna, and he's got like a pay scale, what he pays per card, and it's what I'm willing to sell for the most part. So I've been finding, it's like, oh, here's another $10, $10. So it adds up pretty quickly. So my back hatch is still full of random boxes of Goodwill cards. I got to get those. I've got to get them in, I think today. Hopefully the drywallers are done in the garage today, and I can rearrange the garage and get back in there and then unload so I can load my card show boxes back in, which I'm actually kind of glad I didn't leave all my card show box, because usually especially if there's a 1 week turnaround for my card shows, I just leave the stuff in there. But I wanted to kind of refresh everything, especially since I've got a lot of new stuff for this weekend. So I can actually pick and choose in my card room, and I don't have to look through all these boxes in the back of my car. So actually worked out in that regard. Mark Marinello, good morning. Mets tried to help you out. Game 2 of the doubleheader, they metted. Yeah, let's go Mets. Red Light, good morning. What's happening? John's a little late. No worries. Good morning, good afternoon. Stacus Maximus listed the 23K all within about a 2-hour time frame. Oh my God. Orders have been rolling in since, hoping I didn't bite off more than I could chew. That's why I said I was concerned. Because you're going to be swamped with sales, which is good, but are you prepared for that? That's why I like scaling up. I think I went 0 for 3 on the scaling up tutorial several months back. That's why I like scaling up. I list a few hundred cards. Depending on what it actually is. If it's a bunch of 82 Fleer, 85 Tops, that type of stuff, it's a very, very slow sell. But if I'm adding, 2023 Ginter, Jackson Holiday, Churio, all of that, I'm moving 10%, if not more, within a 24 to 48 hour period. So I'd be curious at what your sales are like the first couple days after unleashing 23,000 listings at one time. That's pretty wild. George says, speaking of football, I just binged the quarterback series on Netflix today. Not too bad. Every once in a while when I'm looking for something to watch, I see that and I'm like, I'm going to watch. And then I'm like, I don't think so. I'm sure I would like it, but it's just that it's taking that step. And I always get to that step where it's like, I might watch this. I'm going to turn on Maximum Overdrive. That was a movie. Sometimes I get tired of just listening in the background to hobby content or games or podcasts. It's like, I just want a movie in the background. And so earlier this week, it's getting to be the leaves are turning, they're falling. Fall is such a messy season. I don't know why you people like fall. It's things die. It's gloomy. It's like the 7th day of gloomy, gray, rainy, leaves falling, messy, getting cold, even though I'm sweating down here. Fall. It's even fall. Like when you fall, that's not a good thing. I guess autumn is the term. Here we are, fall. It's gloomy, it's gray. Where was I at? It's spooky season. So scary movie. So this isn't really a scary movie. It's more of a, I don't know, what would you call Maximum Overdrive? A thriller? I think it's in the horror section, but it's on, I love Pluto. Pluto has great cheesy movies. I love cheesy movies. Maximum Overdrive, one of my favorite. My parents were not like most parents. I could watch rated R movies as a kid. I watched Friday. Herman's in the house. Herman, my parents let me watch Friday the 13th when I was like 6 years old. I didn't turn into a serial killer. I'm okay. So I loved scary movies as a kid. And Maximum Overdrive was one of my favorites. Maximum Overdrive. Because trucks, I mean, you're a kid. Boys love trucks. Trucks take over. And now they're killer trucks. Maximum Overdrive. Emilio Estevez. There's also a movie called Trucks, and I think they're both based off Stephen King short stories. I know Maximum Overdrive is, but I think Trucks is also similar vein. Almost the exact same plot. So I had Maximum Overdrive playing in the background as I listed cards the other day. Great movie. Super cheesy, typical 80s, another 1986 film. I thought it was an 88 movie, but it came out in 86. We talked about this a few weeks ago. 1986 was a great year. I was only 4 years old, but there was I don't think it was a great year for music. Movies for sure. 1986, we started the year with a Super Bowl. Bear down, Chicago Bears. What else did 86 bring us? WrestleMania? Was that 3? WrestleMania 3, I think, was in 86. I think 84 was the first. Does that make sense? Or was 85 the first WrestleMania? But 86. 86. Mark's Mets. Didn't they win the World Series in 86? Bears win the Super Bowl. What else happened in 86? I'm sure a bunch of other cool stuff happened in 86. Where are we at? Todd says, forget soccer and hockey. Need to list those Leaf pickleball cards. Love it. Love it. Low Roller says, somebody's going to break into my car and steal all my cards. Do you think somebody's going to steal 200,000 cards? They're going to be like, fuck this. I don't want 91 Fleet. It would probably be doing me a service by stealing all the cards in my car. Sure, take the 88 Donruss. Dave says a bad sign for the Cubs was when Marquee aired a 2001 loss to the Astros prior to Tuesday's game. What was that game? Like 2000, what happened in 2001? Like, what was the significance of that game? I'm curious. Mark says, when Joe Girardi was manager of the Yankees, his pressers were very combative. I think it's just his personality. Okay, that makes sense then. So maybe that's his personality. He's a combative personality, and Boog takes exception and just fires back, which I don't like. It doesn't come across as good TV. Herman's in the house. His Braves besting the Cubs again last night. Stacus Maximus had roughly 6K up already. Most of those listings were prepared in 2020. Grueling work with a flatbed scanner. I do not envy the flatbed scanner usage. Cooter says, good morning. Still on a high from the collection I picked up yesterday. I would be too. Cooter shared what he picked up. Wow, is all I can say. An amazing collection of cards. Low Roller Scratcher tells us fall is not too hot and not too cold. It's the porridge is perfect. George says, I watched the Pope's Exorcist the other day. The Pope's Exorcist. Decent movie if you like that sort of thing. I don't know if, I'm not into like exorcism movies. I wasn't a big Poltergeist fan. It's weird. I like slasher films, but I don't like gore. I don't like blood at all. But I like horror movies. And Friday the 13th is like just a gory movie. Gory movies. I like thrillers. I like real life, and that's why my wife hates horror. She's like, well, that could happen. I'm like, Friday the 13th could not happen. I'm sorry. A little boy that was drowned in the 1960s is not going to come back to life as this superhuman monster out of a lake. That's not real. That's not going to happen. The pond be in our backyard. Jason Voorhees ain't popping out of our pond. I'd piss my pants if that happened. Probably poop them too. Jason Voorhees ain't popping out of our pond. And the weird thing is, she doesn't like horror movies, but she loves Criminal Minds. That shit happens. Somebody can break into our house. They break into my car and they're like, oh, I don't want this $88. I'm going to go tie this asshole up, trying to give me $88. They break into your house and tie you up. That shit happens on Criminal Minds, and it happens in real life. But my wife loves that. But she doesn't like Jason Voorhees. That can't happen. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe a lightning strike. Maybe there's a kid buried in the pond and lightning strike and he wakes up and goes on a murderous rampage. Andy Mack says, I've been listening to shitty horror movies on Tubi. Tubi has some great horror movies. They have a great selection for free. Pluto TV and Tubi are great options for terrible 80s cheesy movies. Yes, love Tubi. Dan watched that movie. He said it was meh. The kid getting the steamroller treatment still cracks me up. Steve says Maximum Overdrive and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, 2 all-time classics. Yes. Tom says time for an Ed Wood movie marathon. Start with Plan 9 from Outer Space. Love it. Card Hobbyist says Duel is a better killer truck movie. I've never heard of that one. I'm going to Google that. Duel movie. Oh, wow. Is this really from 1971? Oh, shit. This looks good. Duel. It's a 1971 American action thriller directed by Steven Spielberg. Unbelievable. It centers on a business commuter played by Dennis Weaver driving his car through California to meet a client. This is the type of movies I love. I love road trip movies, like scary road trip movies, not like Tom Green Road Trip. The screenplay by Richard Matheson adapts his own short story of the same name, published in the April 1971 issue of Playboy. See? Read the articles. And based on a November 22nd, 1963 encounter when a trucker dangerously cut him off on a California freeway. Wasn't November 22nd, 1963 also the date of JFK's assassination? I believe so. Produced by Universal Television, Duel originally aired as part of the ABC Movie of the Week series on November 13th, 1971. It later received an international theatrical release and an extended version featuring scenes shot after the film's original TV broadcast. The film received generally positive reviews from critics, with Spielberg's direction being singled out for praise. It has since been recognized as an influential cult classic and one of the greatest films ever made on television. Duel. I like it. Thank you for this. Anybody we've heard of in the movie? See, early 70s actors I'm not familiar with. So I don't recognize any of the actors, but I'm gonna keep that up, and I am gonna try to find that. Do you know if that's streaming on any? See, that's the type of movie that's probably streaming on Pluto or Tubi. Cooter says 86 was his first national. See, 86 was a good year. Stacus Maximus graduated high school in 86. See, 86. Mets won the last World Series in 86. And the year Mark graduated high school. Wow, 1986. What a year. Steve says that was the game where Sammy Sosa ran out right field with the American flag after the 9/11 attacks. Aha. I do now recall seeing somebody post that on Facebook. I do recall that. I think somebody was selling a ticket stub from that game. Let's see. Where are we at? Herman says, picked up my Allen and Ginter team set yesterday to keep my Braves Ginter run complete. First card purchase in over a month. Let's see. Low Roller wants to know if I play skill games. I do not live in Illinois. I live in Wisconsin. I also do not play skill games. Jason, what's up? I learned more from watching your videos than from the eBay Open. And that's kind of what I thought. Not for me, like my videos, but just in general, the eBay Open yesterday, you will learn more from watching content on YouTube from sellers than you learn from the eBay Open. That was my take from yesterday. Stacus Maximus, Duel, Spielberg's first. Cooter says, Duel freaked me out as a kid. Duel was a great movie. Spielberg directed it. Dennis Weaver was awesome. Am I the only one that's never seen Duel? Apparently. So the eBay Open was yesterday. I was excited. I did not, I skipped out on it last year. I just I don't want to do it. And so this year I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I forgot. I even signed up and got the email alerts and whatever. And then somebody mentioned it in the chat yesterday morning. I'm like, oh yeah, thanks for the reminder. I was doing other stuff. So I missed the first sessions. And I think when I checked in as they were just coming off break. So I caught the afternoon sessions. And the first session that I consumed was I started watching on like listings, and it's like, this is like eBay 101. This is like for beginner sellers. It's vanilla, generic. And so then I'm like, oh, there's other sessions going on at the same time. I thought it was just one session at a time. I was wrong. So I went to the only session in that first block that I actually thought was informative was about basically economical, I think it was basically based on a poll, consumer spending and all of that stuff, which I didn't write anything down. Of course, I forgot what most was said, but I found it at least somewhat engaging. And I don't know if I'd consider consumer spending information entertaining, but it was informative. I think informative is the good word to use. The next set was, gosh, I don't even know. Like, this is how, the eBay Open was. Next set was something that I wasn't paying close attention to. Let's just get to the sports card trading category. Here, baby, this is what I'm waiting for. So it started with, and basically the eBay Open, if you didn't watch, the eBay Open, each session starts with basically a recorded video. And then they do a breakout where they do Q&A. They're on Zoom and they do Q&A with the viewers. So the sports card trading category, Solin is the head of the sports card trading category at eBay. She was with Hoodies Collectibles, which I'm not familiar with, but apparently they're a big consigner on eBay. And it was basically like an interview, very generic, very vanilla. just didn't really. It was some insights that he mentioned. They do a lot of auctions. I did find some value in what he said about higher value auctions, where he says the same thing that I say about ending auctions, and they do not end any auctions on Fridays. When they do high value, they will start an auction on Thursday or Friday, but run 10 days. So it covers 2 weekends. And I've heard this in the past, and I think that's a good way to approach like a higher end, capture 2 weekends. I don't really run any high-end auctions, so it doesn't really affect me. I also don't run auctions outside of, I'm just going to throw 200 things on at auction and lose a few bucks. So that was, somewhat insightful. The breakout session, this is where disappointment reigned. I felt there was a gigantic disconnect between eBay and its sellers, especially when it came to the sports trading card category. There was a lot of dead air. It felt as prepared as a random episode of Hobby Evolution. But instead of going, where we at? It's like, I could tell she didn't want to answer certain questions, and she was avoiding many questions. So there was a lot of dead air. Instead of just saying, I can't answer that, or I'm not going to answer that, it was just dead air. And it was like, what is going on? And I think, and this is just my assumption, I feel that there's a disconnect between using the actual platform, these category managers. And just, for example, yesterday, I feel like she was not connected, not even having conversations with sellers. Like, hey, it would go so far if this category manager would reach out to, okay, your volume sellers, reach out to 10, 20. Okay, what are some of the things you are encountering? What are content creators talking about eBay? What are people in this chat? What, as sellers, are they having questions about? eBay just has to have those conversations with sellers and with people that are on boots on the ground. Like, hey, this is what I'm hearing. There's, and I get like, there were so many questions about standard envelope. She can't answer that. Like, that's not even, I don't even think eBay can answer that. That's a USPS thing. How come there's no tracking? Well, that's not on eBay. That's the United States Postal Service. So all of those questions, it's like, those can't be answered. There's a lot of, and that's another thing. I just wish it would be communicated in conversations that I've had, especially when I was dealing with those managed payment, those transaction fee issues. And I finally got to some people that were high up in eBay. I learned that these divisions within eBay, like, it's not like you and I who sell on eBay and we're dealing with managed payments and we're dealing with shipping policies and we're dealing with ESE and we're dealing with this and that. They are dealing specifically with whatever is in their job description. And their job description has nothing to do. There's managed payments. They have no idea. They have no idea about shipping policies. They have no idea what a transaction fee is because they are focused to do their job on what their job description is. But it would go a long way if they had an idea, especially on a platform like this, the eBay Open, where they can at least, just instead of dodging questions and dead air, like we don't have, ESE, and maybe eBay's directing the managers to say, hey, don't just dodge those questions. So, but the appearance sucks. And I was very disappointed, especially in the trading card cat, because that's what I was looking forward most. And I knew why didn't I ask any questions? I asked one question, it did get answered. Why didn't I ask more? Because I know that whoever, Solin didn't have the answer, because it's not a category question. My questions would be about, although my question really didn't have anything, I'm surprised it did get answered. But manage payments. You do have ESE questions. I don't even know who at eBay, whoever handles that. But the question I did ask was regarding listings. And I didn't really, I worded it generically because I didn't want to get too deep in the weeds. If I had to sit down with somebody that made these or had a direct voice to these decisions, it would be regarding eBay stores. Is there any plans to create another store level between Anchor and Enterprise? Because you go from $300 to $3,000 a month, and there's not much. It's like, well, I can't make those numbers work. Even 60 to 300 from a premium to a Anchor store, where at least I can swallow that. But you're only adding 40,000 listings to that. So my question was just, are there any plans on extending or increasing free listings for volume sellers? Basically, the answer was no. The answer was no, but I'll pass this along. So that's a decision volume sellers have to make once they get to these milestones. Do I level up? Do I go from a premium to an Anchor? Do I go from an Anchor to an Enterprise? Let's go to the chat. Set Cards says, why doesn't eBay just partner with those content sellers for panels like that rather than try to produce their own? That's a great question. That is a great question. I think it would be far more useful if they did. If they actually at least had conversations. You don't have to bring content creators on camera and have them discuss. You can just in the background be like, hey, what are you seeing? Paul Raymond. Shit, I'm forgetting his eBay screen or his screen name on here. At Paul, because he's putting out videos on eBay. Paul Carl Cards. A lot of people that put content out there, like, what are you dealing with? What are you seeing? Go to your high volume seller. And there's a big difference between, you can go and look at your and maybe have it in a breakout between, Hoodie, who they did have on the panel yesterday, is a consigner. The number one sports card seller on eBay is DC Sports 87, consigning. Most of the big volume sellers in trading cards are consigners. They're going to have different views than what I would have as a standalone one-man operation volume single card seller. So communication would make this eBay open. And it wouldn't take much. Don't give me a poll. Don't send out a poll, because I know they do that. I've answered some of the polls that they send. Actually have a one-on-one email string. Don't call me. We don't like phone calls. Send me an email personally. And it can be an assistant. I don't care who I'm talking to, but just somebody that it's going to get to the right people at eBay to make it useful for us. Setcard says plenty of how to sell on eBay YouTube channels that could help them produce a way better session, without a doubt, without question. That was my number one takeaway when I kind of soaked it all in at the end. And I'm like, you know what? you get better value from watching YouTube videos than coming to this eBay Open. I think the drywallers are here. Did I miss them? Brian says, I forgot about eBay Open till 3:30. Was not great. What I saw makes me want to list more stuff. There you go. Hopefully it gave you inspiration to list more stuff. Tracy, good morning. Shane's in the house. Good morning. A little late. No problem. I was too. Brian says, if I wanted to know how to buy someone's collection who asked me if I wanted to buy it through eBay messages. They kind of answered me after the session. Gotcha. I didn't, and honestly, I saw your questions pop up. I didn't understand what you were going with, what you were asking, until you mentioned the eBay messages. I get a lot of eBay messages from people, and I just ignore them. So if you've sent me an eBay message, because I'll get them like, hey, love your show. Would you buy my collection? Like, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get my account suspended. So I just ignore it. So I apologize if you've sent me, because and people that have sent me messages do so through, I think that send me an email, 1millioncubsproject@gmail.com. Don't message me through eBay because I will likely not respond because I don't want to get suspended for doing deals off eBay. Shane says, did you see the AI sample video? I did not. I did watch, there was one video they linked and it was just some stats. It was just a quick 10-second eBay sold this many trading cards in 2022 and this many in the first quarter of 2023. Brian says, basically don't give info and messages because it's splitting hairs of doing biz off eBay. Okay. And that's kind of what I thought they would probably say. Just ignore it. Well, shit. So no answer really was the answer. Josh is in the house. What's up? Did anyone ask questions regarding the updated search engine search issues? No, but that's a good point. And again, some of the questions I have, search engine search issues, the sports card trading manager is not going to know the answer to that. My eBay app issues, the manager, the category manager is not going to ask. So that's kind of not annoying, but it's so eBay's so divided up that many of the questions we have cannot be answered by the people that are running these panels. It's sports card, says Brian, I'll sell you my whole collection. There you go. JW, good morning. Let's see. Do you know if you choose to use eBay ads and the buyer cancels and wants a refund, do they still charge you the ad fee? Or I can't refund them without them having me cover the ad fee? That's a good question, and I don't know the answer. That's a really good question. I would hope, I'm not going to assume, I would hope that refund would come back. I wonder, let me see, because let me take a look at cancellations. Is there any? It'll take me too long to look up a specific transaction that was canceled. But that's a good question, and I don't know. I would hope we would get refunded that ad fee back because we didn't sell it. But I don't know. Best way is to put your phone number on a card and put it in the message board. Bots don't pick it up. Oh, that's interesting. I still would be a little leery of doing that. I don't want to take any chances. Because what if somebody's like, hey, you can buy my whole collection, and it's a bunch of 80s commons. And it's like, I'm not going to buy this. And then eBay's like, hey, we saw this. You're suspended. And I'm like, fuck. Shane says they took a picture of a Justin Jefferson card and created a title, filled in specifics, and even created a description. Not sure how good the description will be since they didn't show details on it. Aha. Harlan says eBay refunds the ad fee, but it's not instant. Okay, well, there's the answer. I like it. Thank you, Harlan. You know, at Sports Cards, it seems they want me to cover the refund and eBay reimburse me later, which sucks to cover up front. Yep. Sometimes that's just the way it goes with refunds. And that's just not an eBay thing. That's just kind of a life thing, like credit cards and all that stuff. So yeah, I was disappointed with the eBay Open. I think is there more eBay Open today? Let's search for it. eBay Open, and at least maybe we can find what panels are on today. Oh shit! Let's go to my email. I'll find it faster than eBay's help section. eBay Open Day 1 recap. Okay, so we do have multiple days. Oh, there is a survey. Oh, I'm taking the survey. You betcha. Oh, you betcha. Okay, let's see. Is there eBay Open starts today? Let's see. Click here to enter the eBay Open. Let's see if we have day 2 on here. Schedule. Perfect. Okay, we're going to share the screen. Present. Share screen. This is the window. Okay. So let's make this full screen. All right, so here's the schedule for the eBay Open for today. Today's the 28th, correct? Yes. So we start things off at 10 a.m. Is this in Pacific time or what time is this? 10 a.m. sometime. Seller networking. Gain insights from sellers like you. Find a selling topic that piques your interest and join the session to learn more. I did not do. There was a networking session at the end of the day yesterday. I did not go in. So you got a keynote speaker. So these are your heavy hitters. These are like the decision makers in eBay. You've got Steph J. She's the SVP of Chief Business and Strategy Officer. Adrian's the CMO. Adam's a VP. Blaine is the social media and content specialist. Blair, focus categories. Thomas is another VP. Who else is on there? Rachel, corporate communications specialist. Technical product manager, product management, consumer engagement. There you go. And you know what's you can find these people on LinkedIn if you're on LinkedIn. And they will, like, I'm connected with Solin, who ran the sports card. She's the main category manager for sports cards. I'm connected with her on eBay. Jeff, who's another category manager in sports cards. I just started networking with many people trying to get answers when I was dealing with those transaction fees. So you can find a lot of these people on LinkedIn. So that's just, what are they going to talk about? Learn more about what it means to reinvent the future of e-commerce for enthusiasts. So this is basically just going to be them talking about various things in the pipeline, I would assume. Blair double clicks into how eBay is connecting our sellers and buyers through product and technology. Hear from Gen Z consumers in a panel discussion. And then we get recap, key updates and insights from the event. All right. So then we go with turn your hobby into a full-time business. I think many of us will be tuned into that one. Set your business, future business up for success by making strategic, data-driven decisions and level up your marketing and operations. Same time frame, we've got utilizing eBay data for your sourcing decisions, learning Terapeak. Actually, that I've already turned my hobby into a full-time business, so I might just skip that event and go to using eBay data because I don't really use Terapeak that often. Every once in a while I'll look into it. And also at the 1225, we've got marketing tools and strategies to bring in buyers. Okay, drive sales and attract buyers by using marketing tools, including promotions, coupons, and social. That's another session. See, there's really all three of those I would be interested in at least listening. So those are all at the same time. Oh, and then we've got retain loyal buyers with marketing strategy. So a lot of marketing going on in the 1225 sessions. 120, we've got another keynote. Oh, we've got the CEO of eBay, Jamie. 230, the point of more return. Practical tips for sourcing high ROI inventory. Turn your eBay side hustle into a full-time income. So we've got more of that. Take action and support causes you care about with eBay for charity. And then another networking session. So that 2:30 session, there's not much that I probably won't watch any of that, but I am very curious about these 12:25 sessions, especially the marketing and Terapeak. So there you go. That's today's eBay Open schedule. Does it go into tomorrow? Yep, we've got some stuff going on tomorrow. Is there anything that I will see? A lot of this is kind of bland. Stephanie Garcia, I think that's Mama Breaks. She's doing a panel tomorrow about social media. Use eBay's tools and analytics to grow your business. More coupons. Looks like there's a couple different sessions on these marketing tactics. Aha! Tomorrow, 1:15. eBay payments, flexible payouts, and simplified finances. The eBay payments team walks you through the different ways you can simplify your finances. Oh, okay. So this sounds pretty generic. It's not going to be real in-depth. All right. So there you go. That's the eBay Open. Jody says, I went to eBay Live in Anaheim in 2002 and New Orleans 2004. We met with all the eBay leaders like Meg Whitman. It was great. They really cared about what we thought. Yesterday was just fluff. Absolutely. That's really cool that you got to go to eBay Live. Back in the early days, back in like the first 5 years. When did eBay 96, 95 when eBay? I joined in 98, but I was in high school, very, very, very casual buying and selling. Yesterday was fluff. I agree. Complete fluff. And more the same today and tomorrow. I think eBay Open is just fluff. Jody said it best. You know, at Sports Cards, at least they sold you on the fact they really care. LOL. Shane says, I mentioned how the new condition options weren't great, and if they could change it back or change the descriptions of the conditions, it did not get answered. And see, that is a question they could have answered, or you would think they would at least broach the subject, because that's specific to the trading card category. See, that is what is annoying about that session. That's a great question, and it should have been at least answered, or at least acknowledged. Maybe they don't have the answers, but acknowledge that, because that's within the category. That's frustrating. You know, at Sports Cards, keynote speakers are like presidential candidates. Tell us what we want to hear and do nothing about it. Amen. You know it. See, he knows it. It's not just a name. Nailed it. Kyle says, too many people with fancy titles at eBay. That's every company. Every company. Too many titles. That's like when I worked my last job, it was, oh my God. So we had, I worked there, 7 years? 2014 to 2020. I worked there 7 years. And this is a small corporate company. It's a family owned. It was still corporate. Just family was leading it. I think when I started, we were in sales, but you have to fluff. It's going back to Jody's comment about fluff. You have to fluff it up. Well, you don't want to be a salesman. Well, that's what we are. Like, yeah, sales. So I think when I first started, I was a sales rep. I think it was just sales rep, which is what I was. I was in sales. And then we had, so then we broke it into corporate, turned it into business development specialist. Ooh, fancy title. So BDS was basically commission sales, commission and salary. And that's where I fell into. But then there was also it wasn't sales rep. They changed that name to something else, account manager. So we went from sales reps to half were business development, the other half were account managers. So, and I'm still following like a lot of people from my company on LinkedIn. And every once in a while I check LinkedIn and I see, and there's a national sales manager position open in my office, my old office here in Madison. So I text and we still text fairly regularly, a couple of my coworkers. And I'm like, I joked with one guy, I'm like, hey, are you going to apply for the national sales manager gig? So the other guy who was my boss texted that that's just the new term for business development specialist, national sales manager. It's like, and in 3 years, there's going to be a new title come up. What? National sales man. Oh, we don't want to have sales or manager in the title. You got to have this. Titles. People ask what you do. So like my title was business development specialist for a third-party logistics firm. What the fuck is that? I work in sales, in transportation. Oh, okay. And then you can go from there. So well, what type of transportation? Full truckload, like the trucks you see on the interstate. Which we do not, in the trucking industry, you do not call them semis. Like growing up, playing with my cars, I got me a semi. Not in the industry, it's trucks. You know, at sports cards, they pretty much double dip if you want to get your product seen towards the top. Yes, they do. Ads work very well, but it comes out to nearly 27 to 30% they make to do so. You got to pay to play. Brian says Mama Breaks can talk about how she gets loaded boxes. I did not watch that video. I think Sports Card AIH or Sports Card Radio, one of the two, had a video on that. And I just some of the content I just like, I don't care. Loaded boxes. I'm not surprised. Like if it were to come out that certain content creators received loaded boxes, say it ain't so. And it's probably been happening for years and years. So it's just kind of like, I don't care. Next video, please. Cards for Kids Oregon. What's up? Good morning. I want to hear them tell us they are going to be running ads to target the younger crowd. There you go. Harlan says, I joined eBay in July 1997, but only really started selling this year. The age of my account does allow me to sell up to $1 million a month, though. Still have a ways to go. I no longer have limitations, selling limitations, which I didn't even realize for a long time. It was 2 billion with a B dollars a month, or 2 billion items a month. And I think it was Paul. He's like, I don't have selling limits. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's they like, there's really no limits, but it says 2 billion. And he's like, no, like, and he showed me a screenshot. I'm like, oh, okay. So I went in to look at mine and I don't have them either. At some point in the last, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, maybe, I no longer have selling limitations. But that doesn't mean I have free listings, because once I hit that 60,000, then I've got to pay the 10 cents per listing or 20 cents per listing. And that's another, like, that's a strategy that, okay, if I start maxing out, and this is why you've got to be strategic in your listings, because you don't want to just pay 10 cents a month for junk listings. Like, I'll pay, if I know they're going to sell within a couple months, I'll pay 10 cents, but I can't be listing 81 Topps, 91 Donruss. I've got to be strategic. Okay, I'm cool. And then I've got to manage my store better. And okay, this has been in my store for a year now. I don't want to pay anymore. Either put it at auction or end it and throw it in a quarter box. So some of the strategies that come about. A self-employed person can tell you in a few words what they do. I sell baseball cards. That's what I do. And I always say it with a laugh. It's almost like embarrassing. Oh, so what do you do for a living? I sell baseball. I sell baseball cards. But at least, you know what? It gets more curiosity and engagement from strangers than I'm a business development specialist for a third-party logistics firm, or I'm in sales for a transportation company. Oh, cool. Now he's a sales guy. But when you say you sell baseball cards, like, really? You can do that? Do you make money? Oh, no, I don't make money. I just do it for fun. I pay the electric bill with 91 Donruss Commons. It does definitely get more like, oh. And then sometimes you get the, I don't think they mean to be pretentious, but they're like, oh, I thought those were for kids. Well, they are. Big kids like me. I'm 40. In large corporations, nobody has any idea what a person does by title. Absolutely. 100%. Shane says, I'm going to start calling myself a food and drink specialist, a.k.a. server. There you go. There you go. What do you do? I'm a food and drink specialist. Ooh, that's fancy. Brian Wolf, Topps and Panini has made it clear they know where the good cards are, and it usually means it's part of their marketing or pocket, not randomly inserted into packs. Yep. Completely agree. All righty then. So, eBay Open continues today. I don't really want to encourage you. For me, it was disappointing. Day one was disappointing, but fortunately, I didn't take time away. I didn't stop what I was doing. I had it playing in the background. It was, instead of listening to a true crime podcast or Pod Meets World or Maximum Overdrive, it was just background filler. I'd pop into the chat just to see what people were talking about, but it wasn't very distracting. It was distracting for a few minutes, but overall not distracting. Bargain Boxer says, when they ask what you do, tell them you buy baseball cards. Sounds cooler than saying you sell baseball cards. Doesn't sound as creepy. That's true. What do? I sell baseball cards. Oh, that's weird. Had one of those Facebook survey things recently. The type open to all. Question was, say what you do for a living without saying what. I replied, sell pictures of guys playing with their balls. Love it. All right. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hit up my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Link also in the description. Buy 7 or more at regular price, and you'll receive 25% off at checkout. Let's see. So that's the eBay store. Let's throw out the Madison Card Show is coming up this Saturday. Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. The show is sold out of dealer tables, 9 to 3, free admission. 125. Actually, there's 128 tables because I'm bringing 2. I've got another dealer that's bringing 1. So we're technically oversold. 128 tables this weekend, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. And let's talk about Card Dealer Pro. How do I get all those listings to eBay? I use Card Dealer Pro. Go to carddealerpro.com. Sign up using promo code Cubs, like the team that lost again last night, CUBS, Cubs. Use that promo code. You'll get 500 free scans upon any paid subscription. The cheapest or most expensive subscription, 500 free scans when you make that payment. carddealerpro.com. I love it. And I would not shill for any company I don't believe in or don't use. Oops. That was from yesterday. So there you go. Again, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Herman, you also have a great day. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. It's a free-for-all Friday. We're going to be playing Name That Player. We'll go back to the well, and we'll do just a random smattering of cards. Let's do baseball tomorrow. We'll do baseball tomorrow. Back to baseball. I think did we do football? Or we did baseball. We did Ginter we did the new Ginter last week. So we'll do baseball. We'll throw it back to some vintage, do some modern, all that. Name That Player tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central, maybe 5 minutes late like we have been this week. It's all good. So have a great Thursday, and we'll talk again tomorrow.